Hi everyone, welcome. Ryan here from the London Craftsman channel. How are you? Right, today's video is all about this unit that you can see beside me. It's a seating area for a kitchen. We've got a window seat vibe going on. It's a storage unit with flaps, shaker style panel, and we've got like a little bookshelf at the back, cupboard at the back. Yeah, all made out of oak veneer and stained or oiled, shall I say, in a whitewash Osmo oil. So that's what this video is all about. I'm going to be telling you about how I designed it, all the junctions, how we're fitting the trims, how we got the junction to work between the two units, how we fixed the shake style panels without seeing any fixings and keeping materials down, and yeah, lots of other bits and pieces. So if that floats your boat, you want to find out more, stay tuned, watch to the end. I hope you enjoy. So this is what we went with. The customer called me and asked me if I could take the job on, and described what they wanted and sent a sketch over, which was quite handy so I could visualize their design, and from their sketches I could just do a little sketch up. So this is just a visual. It's not exactly how we were building it. For example, the framework around here is a little bit fat. It's just basically a visual for them to see the entire unit and what it could end up looking like. So from that one drawing, once the customer was happy and liked the design and confirmed and wanted to go ahead, I ended up going ahead and doing a few designs and working out all the junctions. It was quite a tricky one, especially because I didn't want to use a lot of materials. I could have made it as a whole box and then clad it with a panel after. That means I could have just screwed through the box holding this panel on. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep materials down. It's the same on the end panel as well. Because it's open on the front, it was quite a tricky one to design in order to get that side panel fixed and then run through with the two panels to look seamless. So I've done my drawings and we've got a couple of views. We've got a side view of both units. And we've got quite a few points for me to go by. I'll be running through these in a bit, but that is the two side profiles. And then over here we've got the front view. Again, it shows everything I need and exactly how me and Sean are going to make it. So what I'll do next is I'll just have a little walk around and then I'll describe to you all the bits and pieces. Okay, so let's go over everything. So this is finished now. Finished it in a white Osmo Oil 3111, and you can see the grain, some of the grains taken the white, and it looks a bit more whitewashed than usual and giving it that white look. Yeah, so on the top we've got the two flaps and they will have pistons on. That's the last thing I need to do, is fit the pistons. Once this unit is fitted, they will lean up against the wall anyway, so they're not going to put strain on the hinges by leaning over constantly, but they'll do for now. So the front panel we've made as one whole panel. We could have made it as one box, then made a panel, and then screwed the panel on through the inside of the box, but we decided to keep the materials down, and it made construction a little harder. Just meant that we had to figure out a way of fixing that panel on without fixing through the front, obviously. This panel is a 19mm oak veneer panel, just like the rest of the construction, and it was just shaken up with some 7mm oak veneer, and as you can see at the back, it's completely flat, and that was the look that we wanted to. If it wasn't flat and we made it sort of like the traditional way of making a shake style door, for example, it would have been a little bit tricky to fix the sides and the divisions to the panel. So it's a standard 19mm oak veneer panel, and then we shake it up. The way we fixed it is that we use pocket holes for most of it, and glue and biscuits. Well, saying that, I think we did use pocket holes for the whole panel. You can see here we've got pocket holes. They're just behind the battens. The rest of the construction is biscuited and screws, because you're not going to see them. So if we look around the back, we were able to screw the sides and the division in through the back. Also the bottom, you can see the backing runs all the way through down to the bottom, and the bottom is in between the two panels. Okay, so the bottom is the same depth as all the sides and the division. So once we had machined all this with biscuits, then we were able to assemble the backing, the bottom, and the two sides and the division. And then once that was done, we stood it up. So effectively it was up that way. That way we could then just place this panel on top with some biscuits and glue, and then just put those pocket holes in, those pocket hole screws to nip it up, so we didn't need clamps. So the screws basically act like clamps really whilst the glue is going off. So yeah, other things we had to do in this box, we had to build out a little bit. So it accepted some standard concealed overlay hinges. So if I have a look over the side here, when I close the flap, you know, in relation to that add-on strip that the hinge is fixed to, it should overhang it by 18 mil, 19 mil. And then we've got a little piece here to put the trim on at the back. Okay, so we've left this open so the trims and the scribing pieces can go in. And yeah, so the only thing that we need to do left on this box, or the entire unit shall I say, is hydraulics, just so it takes some of the weight. This whole panel was made out of one solid piece, so it's oversizing length and depth. So what we did first was we knew the size of the lid in depth, and then from the front edge we took that measurement and did that cut all the way down, leaving that long strip. I believe that long strip is there. Okay, so that's a scribing piece, so when it goes back in it's the same grain. So once we'd taken that strip off, we were then able to cut the lids into length. We looked at the drawings, we looked to see what length the lids had to be. We started from this edge. We obviously cut the lid, we cut the panel nice and square first before we did that. Over here we've allowed 22 mil because we've got a panel going in there. I'll speak about that in a moment. But from the edge we measured, we then did a cut, then we measured and we did a cut, and then we were left with another offcut to scribe. So we've got two scribing pieces left, and they are all going to be the same grain. What we did here is we put some battens on. So as you can see here, this one's stepped back because we wanted the this trim here to be stepped back from the panel, so it didn't make this panel look big. We wanted to highlight the fact that it's a shaker style panel rather than making it flush. If I just give you a little demonstration, it's not the correct piece, but it's going to go in something like that. And this also isn't the correct piece, but the top's going to go in something like that also, and at the back like so, leaving 3 mil gaps all the way around, okay, for the lid, the gaps that the lid needs. So those offcuts that came off of the whole piece to make the lids, we're going to use those offcuts as the scribing pieces. So let's walk over to this part of the unit where the two units meet. These are two separate units. If we walk around, it's like a bookshelf, and it's not very tall. I think by the time we put it on the bearers, we're allowing 50 mil for the bearers, it's going to be a metre tall. So this unit also had to have a shaker style panel on it also. That's the look. But we also had to think about how we were going to scribe this side panel in up against the wall, because obviously there's going to be a void where the skirting is behind the unit. So obviously this is going up against the wall at the back, and there's going to be a skirting board running all the way through. So we need to know how to scribe this unit on this side and on the top. We've sorted out the scribing of this unit because we're using the strips that came off the lid, and we've sorted this piece out because we've got the batten here. We're just using a piece of oak veneer for that. And obviously the plinth is going to be exactly the same as we do with our wardrobes. It's going to be stepped back. We haven't put the batten on that yet. We're going to do the same effect where we're going to put a little batten underneath to then be able to glue that trim on, that plinth on, once it's all fitted. This is the reason we designed this unit this way, is so we could put a side panel on and give it that look of being enclosed in a panel. If I just put this piece in, it's not the correct piece, but this is kind of the look that we are going for, okay? So it's going to be like a side panel, like we do with our wardrobes. And that's going to go flush with the top, like so, and run all the way and scribe all the way to the wall. We've already cut it to the correct height. It's that piece right there, so it's cut to the correct height already, but the length is long. So that's the way we're going to scribe that side panel. We've got this piece in, I might be able to place that on. This is the top, and that will go on like so, flush with the front. I don't know what to call the front. I suppose this is called the front. It's a bit confusing because you can call this the front too. And it's going to be flush here also, okay? And that's the look. And we've created that lip. So when we put our panel in, it's going to be flush at the top. There, I've put it in. This isn't completely level at the bottom, so we've got a little bit of a step here. We've just placed it on the bench and there's a little bit of a step there. So this will be flush, will be closed up, and that is the look that we're going for. So it's, you know, it's enclosed all the way around, and yeah, that is the finished look. So that just meant that we could scribe the top in, because obviously the top needed scribing. We didn't want to build this unit here and have the top running all the way through and then have to scribe a piece that's fixed to a complete unit. We wanted to scribe smaller components like panels and ledges. So that's going to be scribed, and that's going to be scribed. This is the right width, but obviously we need to scribe it in the length there. Okay. Yeah, and this one is the right length, and we've got to scribe it in the return there to go up against the wall. So let me take these panels off and I'll talk about the way we built this unit. So now you know that we've got a panel going on. It just meant for me that we could fix a lot of the carcass together from this side. So the shelves and the top and the bottom were all able to be fixed with screws and biscuits through the back. And also we had to figure out a way of fixing this panel to the unit. So it was pretty easy. Screws through the side, screws through the back. But then we had this problem of how do we get this panel fixed to the shelves and the top and the bottom. So as you can see around the back, we pocket screwed this panel to these two components together. We also did that at the top, pockets. And then, so that is the panel fixed on this edge and on top, but then we still have to fix it to the shelves and the bottom. So the shelves, again, pockets underneath. This is going to be really low, it's 600 mil off the ground, and this is about 350 or so. And then the bottom was simply pocketed through the bottom in the same manner as the top. So the sides ran through on both of these. The backing was in between both the sides. So when we cut the shelves and the top and the bottom, we just took the overall depth of the unit minus the 90 mil panel, and that gave us the top, the bottom and the shelf depths, okay? One thing I did want to talk about was this panel at the top. And I had two thoughts on what to do with this. Obviously we want to match all the border sizes. I think they're about 63, 64 mil. But we didn't at the top, and I was thinking to myself, well, what do we do? And I did talk to Sean, we had a little conversation what we thought looked best. And I just thought that the best way would be to cut it short by 19 mil. So by the time we put this top ledge in, then it sort of builds it up to give it that illusion that the panel is a little bit bigger. Let me place that top in. Okay, so I know it's not seamless. And in hindsight, we could have just continued these lines, and I'm thinking about doing that anyway when I'm on site. We'll chisel lines in. Not too sure yet. Don't think it's a massive detail to worry about, but the overall height now looks the same as the rest. We didn't bother about this one. We've got cushions going on here. We've got some foam to be upholstered. But yeah, I think that was a detail that me and Sean were umming and ahhing about. Didn't know really what we should do, and we decided to go for this look. We needed to create a shadow gap here, so when we put this panel in here, it just wasn't a panel. This border butted up against the side panel. We just want to keep that 3mm look like this. So what we did is we just got the overall size of the panel, which was the overall depth. So just imagine this whole blank of this side. We cut that correctly. But when we came to shaker, we just cut these rails shorter in length by 3mm to then shift this over to create that 3mm lip. We also edged this edge here. And obviously this panel is already oak, so we didn't need to edge that. We did the same for this panel as well also. So if I go around the side, probably see a better view. So we just made the uprights shorter in length as well, and then that just dropped the top rail down to create this gap. We made this 5mm rather than 3, just to give a better, access for them to lift the lid up. And yeah, once it was shaken, then we just edged this side panel too, and we did the same over there. When it comes to fitting these plinths, we're just going to use the same technique. We're going to be putting these battens on underneath to take the plinth also, and when that plinth wraps round, we're going to just mitre it in the corner. We're going to step the plinth back by the thickness of this panel, which is 26mm, so the plinth will be in line with this line here, and we will most likely do that on the bottom of this unit also. Not too sure, we'll just see how it goes, but it's going to be mitred, and then that plinth will return up against the skirting. We have got a batten here, and just thinking about it now, we've just made it a little bit too long because there's going to be a skirting here, an existing skirting. We'll just cut that back. We'll do that on site. Yeah, but then there's a trim going on here. We've stepped that back 19-20mm, I believe, so then when that panel goes in, it should be completely flush with the units. So quite a tricky one to think about, this one, when I came to design it. In order to get these side panels mounted to the units without seeing fixings and without overkilling, making the carcass up and then fixing a panel to it, because it would have made these a bit too thick for my liking. And also it's just nice to keep materials down and make this unit a little lighter to carry. So what I'll do now is I'll just show you these drawings and see if I can just talk about them a little bit. Okay, so this unit here is just representing the side view of this. Alright, so these are so badly out of scale. They're just my crappy little sketches which help me just design and build the unit. I know they're not to scale in any sense, okay, and they're just hand drawn. I could have used SketchUp to do them, but I know what they are, and so does Sean. So this is the front view of this unit, and as you can see, that ledge is running through. As you can see, it's running through there, and it's just showing you that they're going to be pocket screwed from underneath of the bottom and the 2 shelves, and then a pocket screw through the top, and then obviously the top gets covered with this ledge. Yeah, and it's just showing that the sides get fixed with screws. And this is the window seat again. You can see the lid. What we decided to do with the lid, we've just made sure that the lid was flush at the fronts, and then we're leaving a 3mm gap from the inside of the carcass to the start of the lid. Okay, so it just means that when that lid goes on, this little add-on strip is just sort of representing a side, effectively. Imagine it was a wardrobe. You need a 3mm gap. This add-on strip allows you just to use overlay hinges rather than inset or half overlay. And then you can just see the trim at the back, just sitting on the back of the carcass also. You can see how the window seat is running through at the bottom, and the backing is also the same, so the bottom and all the divisions are the same depth. It's got all our measurements there. And I did make a note of what we should do with that panel. Do you know, I was talking about this thickness here. I did make a note, and this is why me and Sean did have a little chat about it. It just says, make this look like 64mm, same as shaker rails. So once the ledge has gone in, it gives the illusion of a whole rail. Need to confirm this detail. The other bits, flaps to be fitted with hydraulics. Use pocket hole screws on anything screwed to shaker style panels. Use pocket holes on seat division, and then use caps to cover them. Right, the seat, a front panel and back panel to run through, sides and divisions to go in between, bottom to also run through with all the sides and divisions sitting on top of it. We need to work out a way of fixing seat plinth, as we can't screw from the top. Maybe a thin batten 20 by 20 and glue to it. If so, the bearers need to be stepped back slightly more to allow for a batten to go in, because our bearers system, that system that we level up, is usually pretty close to the front. We've got to step that bearer back ever so slightly to allow for the batten for the plinth to be fixed to. Flaps and trims around the flaps to be made from one board and then cut into pieces and then edged. Okay, so that I went through that. That whole lid was made out of a whole panel, and then we cut the back strip off, then we cut the lids to length, and then we were left with the offcuts. And then seat front panel to have a rebate at the top to create a 3mm gap, or make a step in the upper shaker, strip. So yeah, and again, two ways I could have made this. I could have made the shaker style panel a little bit higher and flush at the top, and then run it through the spindle over there, right off the table to create the rebate. But I decided just to make these uprights shorter and to create that gap. But we went for 5mm rather than 3 to make it a little bit easier to lift that lid up. We do have hydraulics, like I said, to be fitted just to help with the weight. So this is the front view, okay? Anything dotted is behind, and yeah, it's a detailed drawing of all my measurements, the flap length, well, just basically every length that you need. And yeah, it just shows you all those details. So there we go, there's our drawings. That's all the drawings that we needed, a front view and the side view of both the units, and all of our details that we need to go by so we don't forget them. Remember, all of this I need to talk to Sean about, so hence the reason I wrote all the notes down. Yeah, so we've gone from this visual with the customer to the real thing. Looking forward to fitting this one up in Lewisham. Not looking forward to the drive. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope I haven't missed anything. If you've got any questions, just leave them in the description and I'll try and get back to you. So other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Enjoy your Sunday. Bye for now.